So we're talking about commodities now. I'm being joined on the program by Akunnubi, who is an economic research analyst with financial derivatives company. Of course, it's great to have you on the program this morning. Ada, good morning.
Good morning.
So yesterday, we started the week with some people actually expected those numbers to look like that, and even financial derivatives company was one of those who actually predicted that we would see an upward trajectory in inflation numbers. It didn't look good at all. 18.3%. Food alone rose to 17.1%. How did we arrive at this figure, even though it seemed as if very clearly the handwriting was on the wall?
Well, inflation has gone up for the 9th consecutive month, and like we rightfully said, this is the 11th. It's high to an 11-year high. This is mainly driven by the factors we always talk about, the exchange rate pass-through. As long as that is addressed, we will continue to see a spiral in inflation figures. But despite the fact harvest season is actually underway, typically in the north, harvest season begins in October, and in the south towards November and December. But we are not seeing that trickling down into the price of locally grown products. Which is quite confusing. But we expect inflation figures to carry on in its upward trajectory, but we'll probably see inflation figures easing up towards first half of 2017.
But then, what does this tell Nigerians about the increase in food prices as we move closer to the festive period?
Well, if as we approach festivities, we expect food prices to go higher. But the economy this year is quite bleak, so we forecast a bleak Christmas as opposed to previous years, because we say this all the time, there's a low purchasing power, there's low disposable income, so now consumers are making informed decisions before they purchase a product. Is this necessary, or do I have to buy this? What quantity do I buy? Do I buy in bulk, or do I buy in little quantities? So there's a lot of so most consumers are rearranging the scale of preference, and that will definitely affect manufacturers' profit and retailers, because there's going to be very, very, very little demand, and consumers as well are switching to local cheaper local substitutes because of the exchange rate pass-through that continues to affect imported commodities.
But you see, it's a little laughable, and forgive me if I don't laugh, because I don't find it particularly funny. But you have harvest being a little mixed. Mm-hmm. You go to the market and you find that the prices of these commodities are on a high. But then we're still talking about scarcity. And then the federal government is blazing on most of the front pages of newspapers today. The federal government is saying that Nigeria faces an imminent famine. How comes?
Well, so the good news is there is increased demand for Nigerian products in the international market, especially grains and cereal. That means we're doing something right. That means we are churning out more products in the for consumption. But then because of the policies that are put in place, and because of the weaker currency, most producers are actually shipping these products out of Nigeria to take advantage of the weaker naira and the stronger dollar. So at the end of the day, everyone wants to make profit anyway, and that is evident for Brazil. The Brazilian real declined by 6.9% to the dollar. So we are seeing sugar prices actually come down now in the global market, because Brazilian farmers are exporting out more sugar to take advantage of the stronger dollar and the weaker real. So that's that is what is happening in Nigeria. But the sad thing is most countries want to aim for self-sufficiency first before they export what they have to the global market, but that is not the case for Nigeria. We're exporting what we have that we need to share around, that is supposed to suppress high prices as it is, but that is being smuggled through the borders to take advantage of the dollar. So that is why the government forecasts famine going forward.
So why do we have the issue of most of these manufacturers complaining about inability to access forex? If you have so much, you're growing enough to even export, to the extent that the federal government is at its teeters now, that there's a possibility of having a famine in Nigeria. How do you juxtapose that? You have those manufacturers, as I said, complaining about inability to access forex, but you're exporting.
Well, the manufacturers need forex to import larger quantities from the global market.
We do not have enough here in Nigeria for them to use.
I'm not very sure. I mean, we're producing enough, but then the quantity is not as much. So I think that is why most farmers are, shipping out what they have to kind of get more dollar. But there's been a lot of agricultural programs, the CBN and borrowing program that is meant to revive activities in agriculture sector. Like I said, it's a good news for us to be exporting most of our products, but then we have to have we have to have the right policy in place, and there has to be some sort of guidelines to restore confidence in the economy and tell farmers, you know what, we have to feed the mouths first before we can export whatever we have. But if there's that distortion or if there's that breakdown in communication, we're going to see, and if they use very strong forces to clamp that, we're going to see increased smuggling of these products outside the country, as it is for most other commodities.
So Ada, do you think that it's going to also be a challenge for the government? The government had said at some point that they were going to be subsidizing these food products. But with the way the situation is, do you think that's going to happen?
Well, what's interesting is that the global market demands Nigerian products, while Nigerians demand international products. So that's really, that's quite interesting. We still are going forward to buy products that are imported. So if we push out more of made in Nigeria products, and we kind of have some sort of a campaign and say, you know what, Nigerians, we have to purchase what we grow locally, that may restore confidence with farmers and ourselves as well, and that may bridge that gap. Then we can produce more and everyone works together to make sure that this goes forward. But there's still a lot of discriminatory Nigerian products. Is it good enough? But it's really good. A lot of farmers in the north and in the east are doing very well in rice production, millet and other goods, but I don't think this information is passed down to consumers to know how good these products are. So if there's that if that communication is passed across efficiently, and we'll see, we'll purchase more of those products because it's affordable for us and not depend on international products.
So in the short to medium term, you're actually positive or negative or British?
Well, because of the festive season coming up, we expect to see hike in food prices, but the extent at which the extent of price increases, I don't think is going to go as high because of very little disposable income. But typically, festivities, we expect to see prices. January is coming up. Parents want to pay; they have school fees, so prices may actually drop drastically. But then, it's a trend we need to follow because we have abnormalities, various factors coming and change courses.
All right, Ada, thank you so much for coming on the program this morning. Of course, shedding more light on those figures and the survey. Ada Akunnubi is an economic research analyst with Financial Derivatives Company.
Thank you.